Basically, what you're doing here is criminal. You need to shut this channel down permanently. Let's see if you get this even remotely correct. False. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. False. Lie. False again. False. Wrong. Completely false. Wrong. Completely false. Absolutely false. Fundamentally false. No, that's not true. Ooh, diabetes waiting to happen. Bunch of anecdotes. I bet this is all theological as well. This woman's credibility is less than zero. It's minus several billions. Repeating yourself. It's one of the typical things you get with brain fog in these absolute buffoons. The best possible way to get control of your blood sugar is to stop pouring exogenous carbohydrates down your stupid, ignorant neck every day of your life. Right, hello everyone, thank you for joining me once again where we're dealing with people who want to be wrong on the interwebs. Here's an example of someone who's wrong on the interwebs. Off you go.
Listen, I totally get it.
I don't think you do, love, based on my first 5 minutes of watching this before I decided, yes, I think I better respond to this one. It seems like you don't get it at all.
It can easily get confusing and frustrating with so many different diets out there, and yes, it's true. Certain diets can help you balance your hormones.
Yes.
And certain diets can literally wreck your hormones.
Yes.
And the carnivore diet is going to be one of those diets. So
no, wrong. Completely false. Absolutely false. Fundamentally false from the ground up. Rubbish.
Today's video, we're going to dive into the reasons why.
Well, I hope you do better than anybody else that's tried to convince us of this so far, because every single one of them's fallen flat on their face. Oh, let's have a look at this, shall we? We have oxalates there. We have deadly nightshades. Almost certainly there's some lectins in there underneath. That's a plate of poison. There's definitely contraindicated fiber in there. That's rubbish. That's not food for a human being.
Hey, it's Julia Talbot here, and together with my husband Paul Talbot.
Okay, so that's all we need to know, isn't it? Let's just stop here for a moment and just reflect. Are we done? Would you take health advice from either of these individuals? If you would, it's your funeral.
We are certified holistic nutritionists.
Certified by whom? According to what?
With over 10 years of experience helping you create healthy hormones, healthy body, and the life of your dreams. Now,
by doing what? By eating poison?
The other day I read a statement by this doctor who's considered a leader, and she was talking about how in order to balance your autoimmune issues and hormones, you need to eat a largely meat-based diet. Well,
entirely meat-based, meat and associated fat, is a very good idea for human beings at large, precisely because that's the way we've evolved. It's a species-appropriate, species-specific diet. It's what our biology expects from us. It's encoded for in our genes and our organ systems, our biological processes. It's all pointing that way. What's the problem?
And most people with hormonal imbalances, thyroid issues, hypothyroidism will also have autoimmune issues. So
correct.
Oh, it's important to talk about that as well.
Sure, but it's important to listen to someone who knows what they're talking about.
Now, that doctor was so wrong.
In your opinion.
And let me explain why. So
okay, let's hear it.
We've got 3 building blocks that we need to gain through our nutrition.
No, that's not true.
3 main building blocks.
No, that's not true.
And that is carbohydrates.
No, you don't need a single gram of carbohydrates in your diet, not one ever. The human body is completely capable of generating all the glucose we require for all purposes itself from non-carbohydrate precursors. So wrong. You're done. Your credibility's finished now.
Protein and fat. And guess what we must consume plenty of?
Not carbohydrates. Not 1 gram ever is required.
It's carbohydrates, baby.
No, it isn't. False. Completely false. Absolute rubbish.
Why? Well, let's dive into some of the reasons why.
Go on then.
So carbohydrates, and I mean whole food carbohydrates, not processed carbohydrates.
Oh, well, something magical happens when you process them that makes them poison when they weren't in the first place.
Fresh whole food carbohydrates contain glucose.
Yes.
So they contain plenty of glucose. So
yes, too much glucose for a human, as it turns out, because the exact amount of glucose required to be taken in from exogenous sources in the food is still none, not a single gram ever.
What does that do? That energizes, literally energizes hormone producing.
Oh, literally. It literally energizes. Oh, there you go. That's why I'm wrong, because she said literally.
Cells and helps convert inactive hormones into active hormones. Why do we need that? Well, let me give you an example. So with your thyroid hormone, and thyroid is such an important master gland in our body and controls so many functions in our body, you have T4 thyroid hormone, which is then converted into the active T3 thyroid hormone. And the active T3 thyroid hormone is very powerful. It powers your cells. That's what gives you lots of energy. That's what controls your metabolism. So if you are not eating plenty of carbohydrates,
which is still not 1 single gram ever, yes,
in your body, not getting plenty of glucose, that process is going to get compromised. And
well, it is going to get compromised. Isn't that interesting? Because I've been eating a diet basically devoid of carbohydrates for over a decade. And I can point you to a number of individuals who've been doing it for multiple decades, in fact. Not destroyed in terms of our hormones. Whoops. So your blanket statement about what will occur is clearly false. We're done. If we weren't already done when you said you must eat lots of carbohydrates, because that's false. You must do no such thing.
As a result of that, you can start experiencing thyroid problems, energy problems, hair loss, libido, low libido, weight gain, and other issues. Now, one of
maybe not two, still on the table, isn't it?
The hormones that controls your mood is serotonin. And guess what helps you boost your levels of serotonin?
Among other things.
Well, it's carbohydrates.
Yeah, but where do those carbohydrates come from? Because your body's still capable of producing all the carbohydrates it requires itself from non-carbohydrate precursors. We still don't need a single gram.
Not only that, carbohydrates are also converted into glycogen, and glycogen is important.
Yes, but those carbohydrates need not have come from outside your body. They can be manufactured by your body, still.
Important as that storage especially when you're dealing with stress. So if you're feeling very low, worn down, and somewhat depressed, and you just feel these blues, you need to boost your levels of serotonin. You definitely need to boost your levels of thyroid hormones T3 and T4.
Oh, you definitely do. Because you don't feel good, you definitely need to do something about your thyroid. That shows us the level of competence we're dealing with here. If we weren't already very clear on that by the fact that you said we must eat a bunch of carbohydrates, which is false.
Your thyroid is low, your thyroid function is low.
Yeah, but mine isn't, and I don't eat any carbohydrates to speak of.
And you need that storage of glycogen to help you deal with stress. And guess what?
Yes, but your body generates all the glucose that is required to form that glycogen itself from non-glucose precursors still.
It's going to help you do that eating a high carbohydrate diet.
Absolute rubbish.
Not a carnivore diet.
Rubbish.
Now, when I was on an anti-candida diet myself, that restricts your carbohydrates, that limits your carbohydrates, I went through a health crisis. Not only.
Well, I wonder why. It might have been something to do with the candida. Did you actually even get your candida tested to identify that there was definitely a candida issue? I bet you didn't. I bet this is all theological as well.
Not only did I have severe adrenal fatigue where I struggled to function every single day and get out of bed, I also had.
So did you change your diet suddenly overnight from something to something else? Because that's a bad idea, irrespective of what you came from and what you're going to, still.
Depression, anxiety, I felt controlled by my emotions, emotional eating issues. I started to gain weight and I started to feel really low. And guess what happened when I switched to carbohydrate diet, high carbohydrate diet, and changed my lifestyle plan and just totally changed.
So a bunch of anecdotes. You're going to actually get to any science anytime soon. And once again, let's just reflect, shall we, on whether or not these are the kind of people we should take health advice from. Up to you.
My nutrition changed my life. Well, I started to experience more energy, I started to exercise, and eventually I was able to run a full marathon.
Oh, congratulations. So what?
Whole food carbohydrates are very rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, and you have to have those.
No, you don't. False.
In order to help you have healthy function in hormones, not only
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
hormones, but healthy function in body. And guess what? Meat doesn't contain vitamin C.
Yes, it does. False again.
You're not going to get vitamin C from meat.
Wrong. Completely false. Lie.
You're not going to get fiber from meat, which
You don't need any fiber in your diet. Not 1 gram ever. It's the same requirement as for carbohydrates.
is so important for helping you rebuild your gut health.
No, it isn't. False again.
And you're also not going to get antioxidants.
You
Important.
don't need foodborne antioxidants. You actually do get antioxidants from meat anyway, by the way. So wrong again. You get urate, which is a water-soluble antioxidant. Plus, your body has a suite of antioxidants that it produces itself, which are basically protein-based antioxidants. They're all encoded for in your DNA. And if you want antioxidant effect over and above that, you can go and ground yourself electrically and get that. Wrong again. Complete nonsense.
Antioxidants from meat. So this is why you need to eat plenty of...
So urate doesn't exist? You don't get urate from meat? Because urate is a water-soluble antioxidant. This woman's credibility is less than zero, isn't it? It's minus several billions. With a B.
Whole foods, not processed, whole food carbohydrates in order to...
Yes, because magically when you process carbohydrates, they turn into poison when they weren't beforehand.
Boost your body and boost your immune system and help you...
See how none of this is science? This is theology. This is ideology.
...rebuild healthy hormones. When I talk about whole food carbohydrates, what am I talking about?
Well, what you're talking about is a load of absolute nonsense. You're espousing and spouting pustulous excremental nonsense on an unsuspecting public who think that because you've been certified by somebody to talk about nutrition that you know the first thing about it, when it's absolutely clear and patent from what you've said so far in this video that you know less than nothing about this.
I'm talking about fresh whole fruit, which is amazing, such easy to digest
Rubbish.
type of food for your body.
Rubbish.
I'm talking about vegetables, like root vegetables. I'm talking about
Oh, so oxalates, yeah?
whole food grains and legumes.
Oh, right. All sorts of toxins in the grains as well, including gluten and a whole bunch of other new ones that have newly been discovered as well that would point us towards not eating the seed of grasses.
And so forth. Yeah, so these are healthy whole food carbohydrates.
No, they're not. There's no such thing. That's an ideology. That's not underpinned by science.
And the more fresh and whole you eat, the better it is for your health.
Rubbish. Absolute nonsense theology, not science.
And another important thing with carbs is that whole food carbs and whole foods in your diet is that they lead to that healthy blood sugar control.
Absolute, utter nonsense. No such thing is in fact true. The best possible way to get control of your blood sugar is to stop pouring exogenous carbohydrates down your stupid, ignorant neck every day of your life.
So instead of that spike that you can get from processed carbs, and of course you're not going to eat processed carbs, right? So instead of that blood sugar spike, they help you control...
Rubbish. No such thing is true.
...your blood sugar response. Yes, processed carbs and processed food can trigger inflammation, but on the other
Oh, God, this is boring, isn't it, kids?
hand, whole food, high carbohydrate diet that is well balanced, so you
There is no such thing. That is absolutely nonsensical theology more than anything else you've said so far. Healthy, balanced diet, you say? No.
getting lots of carbohydrates, 75, 80% plus.
Ooh, diabetes waiting to happen. Wow. Not to mention the glycation damage, the fructation damage. Go and look up what happens when you take a lot of fructose in, by the way, lovey, in terms of the fast isoform of the KFK enzyme, the one that's liver associated. Go and look that one up and then make another video apologizing to your viewers for your ignorance and the disinformation that you've put forward thus far, and then close your channel down permanently. Basically, what you're doing here is criminal. It's criminally negligent. It's definitely ignorant, and it's definitely not based in science. What's next?
And you're also getting sufficient amount of protein and sufficient amount of fat.
Well, let's have a look at a lot of people that eat a lot of fruit and vegetables and not too much meat and see whether they look like they're getting enough protein, shall we?
That type of diet can actually help you deal with inflammation. So
Rubbish.
when they say carbs cause inflammation, they give you an incomplete information.
All right. So you're now the arbiter of complete information, are you? You who has said so far in this video that carbs are good for you, you must eat a lot of carbs, you cannot balance your hormones without eating a lot of carbs, fruit and vegetables are great. All right, tell us more about inflammation.
Because inflammation is caused by processed food, and it is also caused by a diet that is high in meat and animal products.
Nonsense. Absolute garbage.
Now, is there a proof behind it? Of course there is. Because
No, there isn't proof behind anything you've had to say. One of us is a trained scientist with decades of experience in science, particularly in human nutrition science, among other topics. And one of us is you. One of us is qualified to talk about what is based in evidence and science, and the other one of us is you.
what we do is actually scientifically proved. So
No, it isn't. False.
It was a study that
Oh, a study. You think a study is scientific proof of anything, do you? Yet another reason to completely disregard anything you have to say about science.
published research where they looked at the effects of meat
No, not effects. Effect is the conjugate of cause. This is not a cause and effect study.
and people who consumed a lot of meat, and
You mean people that self-reported consuming a lot of meat? So no.
the inflammatory markers, and they just
And what else differed between populations of people who tended to eat more meat versus people who tended to eat more fruit and vegetables? Healthy user bias at play at all, was it? Yes. Are we done? Yes.
discovered that a high meat diet actually causes
No. There are no studies that can inform us on cause and effect in human nutrition science. The whole area is a ring-fenced area of ideology, propaganda, spin doctrine, bullshit. Not a single study in there informs us on anything with regard to cause and effect. It's all rubbish.
inflammation in the body.
Rubbish.
Okay, let me also explain the T3 thyroid hormone, and low carbohydrate diets have been scientifically shown
No, nothing has been scientifically shown with regard to anything of utility to a human being as regards any aspect of their diet.
to lead to a drop in the active T3 thyroid hormone.
Rubbish.
So your T3 hormone is a very important hormone in your body.
Notice how you didn't cite a study that absolutely scientifically proves that? Are you going to? Please do, and I'll show you what's wrong with it within seconds.
And it literally acts as a gas bed.
Oh, well, you said literally, so you must be right then, because you said literally. Okay, my mistake. You said literally. I take everything back that I've said about science over the last 2.5 decades, because you just said literally. Good.
In helping you supply energy to your cells and to your body, and also control your metabolism. T3 also has a direct impact on how much energy you feel throughout the day, and also how many daily activities that you can do. You know that feeling when maybe you wake up with somewhat K-ish levels of energy, but you go through your day, by 11 a.m. you feel like you can fall asleep, by 4 p.m. you have...
Well, 4 p.m. is about when I have my first and only meal of the day. I wake up with plenty of energy and I get about doing what I'm doing up until 4 p.m. and I'm usually out of bed around 6 or just before if I have my first appointment for dealing with my clients who want to talk to an actual scientist who actually knows something about human nutrition. And I'll work until 4 o'clock and then I'll have my meal. And I have no energy problems at all. And I don't eat carbohydrates to speak of.
This blood sugar dip and just total...
The blood sugar dip is caused by eating carbohydrates in the first place because of the overshoot insulin response that occurs when you eat carbohydrates. Don't do that and you won't have that problem.
Drop in energy. And especially if you're a professional person and you need to handle clients and meetings and you need to...
Yes, that's me, and I do that perfectly well on a meat-based diet.
Especially if you are at a point where you're leading people.
Yes, I do that too. Many, many thousands of them. Many thousands.
Experience that dip in energy, it can get really difficult. So you really need to understand, how do I supply my body with the right nutrition so I have consistency?
Yeah, but you don't have the first clue about what a person should do in order to achieve that lofty goal. You are an ignorant buffoon, an arrogant ignorant buffoon. You are completely out of your lane, completely out of your depth, and just about everything you've had to say has been fundamentally, absolutely, unequivocally incorrect. You need to shut this channel down permanently.
Energy. What sort of lifestyle can help me lead to that? And it's not going to be a carnivore diet.
Well, it is, in fact. That is exactly what it's likely to be. Millions of us are doing this. The anecdotes from all of these people seem to be universally positive. The only issues that seem to rear their ugly heads is when people go and change their diet suddenly overnight, which they shouldn't do, irrespective of what diet they're going from or to. Most of my practice isn't helping these people get their health back once they've messed it up by doing that.
Now, T3 hormone also affects your cardiovascular health. And this is literally just how many
literally again, good. So it must be true because you've said literally.
functions T3 hormone has. And I'm talking about it all because it's so important, and because on a high carnivore, on a high meat diet, carnivore diet, you can experience a drop in the active T3 levels. So,
And maybe not too, because I don't, and neither do a bunch of other people that I've spoken to, thousands of them over a number of years. So this is a speculation that doesn't pan out in the real and objective reality in which we find ourselves. Sure, there are some carnivores that have issues with their thyroid, but that's also true of people that aren't carnivore. Blaming carnivore for that? No.
when your cardiovascular health goes out of balance, that's when you can have heart problems. That's when you can have high blood pressure issues as well. And
What do you think causes high blood pressure? Because among other things, apart from human nutrition, I have also specialised in my academic career in cardiovascular pathophysiology, which absolutely includes the causes or otherwise of high blood pressure. Let's see if you get this even remotely correct.
That is why you need to eat the diets that prevents that from happening in the first place.
Okay, well, what is the diet that prevents high blood pressure? Because it's not going to be one containing a significant amount of carbohydrate.
Now, T3 hormone is also very important for your brain and nervous function. So low levels of T3 can start leading to anxiety, problems with your behavior, they can start leading to depression, they can start causing other brain problems. So it's not the hormone that you want to take lightly. It's a very, very important hormone, and it's also the type of hormone that can help you boost your mental health, boost your brain health, and start feeling more vibrant and energetic. Not only that, your hormones, your thyroid hormones, and specifically T3 hormone also affects your fertility and your cycle. So women who have low levels of thyroid hormone and low levels of T3 hormone can start experience problems with their cycle and can start experiencing problems with their fertility. So that's another reason why you definitely don't want to experience that drop in your active T3 thyroid hormone. Not only that, your hormones, and again the famous T3 thyroid hormone, also influence your immune system. So if you're feeling run down all the time and...
Okay, so a little treatsy on T3. Yes, okay, but so what? How does that relate to your diet?
Your immune system is low, you probably need to address hormonal imbalances as well. And
that might be true on a case-by-case basis, but what does that have to do with diet specifically?
The best way for you to do it is to do it through nutrition.
Yes, but what diet should somebody follow that will put them in the highest probability of expressing an appropriate amount of T3?
To do it through understanding and correcting root causes that could have created this problem.
Yeah, but you don't understand root causes of anything clearly. It's absolutely patent that you don't have the first clue about anything regarding human nutrition.
Problem in the first place, and also understanding how you can maintain a healthy diet long term so you can experience weight loss, healthy weight loss, and get into your ideal shape where you just thrive in, where you can wear the beautiful clothes that you want to wear, where you can feel confident in your body, just feel really confident and beautiful in your skin. So creating that, also creating good mood, and you have good energy levels and you feel happy.
So repeating yourself, it's one of the typical things you get with brain fog and these absolute buffoons, unable to stay on task, unable to get the message out, unable to get it correct in the first place, and unable to understand what they've already said.
Happy and joyous and light during the day, and also you feel mentally sharp and you're able to perform tasks and you have energy to do.
Would you consider yourself to be mentally sharp? Because I would consider you to be an absolutely unbelievably arrogant and ignorant buffoon without the first clue of what she's talking about. Is that what mental sharpness is for you? Well, I think we can avoid that.
Physical activities as well. So all those things can be brought into balance as a result of you looking after your hormones and correcting any possible hormonal deficiency.
Yeah, that's correct though, but the way you would suggest that a person should do that is a folly. It's a falsehood and it's not based in science. It's your opinion and it's frankly as stupid as fuck. It's next.
Or excess of certain hormones like estrogen, and all that can be achieved, or most of it can be achieved through your diet.
Correct, but that's not the diet there on the screen that we can see there that will help.
Lifestyle, nutrition, and so forth. So what does this plan actually look like in practice? I've created a special free 5-step masterclass that is going to go into the strategies to help you lose 10 to 50 pounds, optimize your hormones, and achieve vibrant energy levels.
Well, you're not going to achieve any of those things by eating a diet which is rich in carbohydrates, plant material, fiber, and all of that. Absolutely, that will not be a diet that will be helpful to you in any respect long-term whatsoever.
So all you need to do is grab your spot, register, and we'll drop a link in the description as well.
Yeah, well, we won't be doing that because it's absolutely clear that you don't have the first clue whatsoever of what you're talking about.
And in the next video, I'm talking about mistakes that you definitely want to avoid if you are balancing your hormones.
Well, I'll tell you which mistake we want to avoid, boys and girls. It's listening to idiots like this woman here. I think we're done. She's summarizing. We've heard and seen enough. We know what we're dealing with here. Join me next time when somebody else will be wrong on the interwebs, because it does not look like slowing down anytime soon, does it, kids? No. See you then.